Ding dong, the streak is dead. Which the streak? The kids. Welcome back to Generic Sports Podcast. I did not have my co-host ready for that. I'm the Goose, Josh, and Bossa Nova Jones is laughing his ass off.
Bossa Nova.
This is what you get when you go in unscripted stuff.
As it's always unscripted with us.
Yes, it is. And this is why I wanted to why we are tired, but I wanted to record the intro because I knew you weren't ready for it. So with that, we'll start off with
the painful game that I was rooting for my enemy with?
Yes. The Bills beat my enemy in the Chiefs. So. And well, I was worried more about my own game, so I wasn't really paying attention until the last quarter because my Broncos were on at like 105, they were on at 125, so there was a good like half an hour, 20 minutes, and like a whole quarter left by the time the Broncos were done. So but yeah, from what I watched and rewatching some of the highlights, personally, I saw the Mahomes pick. We watched Red Zone, but I was definitely far more into my own game.
Right, we caught the end mostly.
Yeah,
because it was ending.
We try and watch everything we possibly can.
Red Zone helps. Red Zone helps.
Yeah. We've got multiple screens going. What was I gonna say? So yeah, it did help that like Patrick Mahomes, he's not looking like himself. But there's a lot of statistics that he's not that he's the worst in a lot of things, except he's having his best statistical season in completion. So I don't know what that says, but everything else is like the worst he's ever had.
I think he's missing Rashee Rice. Like, I think he brings an element that they don't have right.
Well, and honestly, Isaiah Pacheco,
and
who comes
Isaiah
back,
Pacheco.
I think next week. But those checkdowns and stuff, I think that he has some escapability to make some plays happen.
Those guys definitely helped make the Chiefs look better. I don't care if they're like this is their first loss. They look better on offense when they had those two.
Yes. Well, I mean, I know it's you got to play the whole game, but Bo Nix outplayed Patrick Mahomes last week. They didn't get the win, and wins are a really weird thing because we'll talk more about Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow's having a fantastic season when it comes to his own stats.
Yeah, that's why it's a team sport, and QB wins are a myth.
Yep. That being said, one thing for sure, everybody like to talk about how Patrick Mahomes like elevates everybody and like, they're doing it without like these top guys that they don't have because they only need Travis Kelce. Well, first, Travis Kelce was very missing. Noah Gray looked good. Like I do think Noah Gray is going to be fine. Like, he's not going to be Travis Kelce, but he'll, he can do a lot, in his own right. And it's not like this was the first season that I thought that. So
right, Noah Gray has been good the last couple of years as the secondary.
Yeah, tight end. But my big question when it's like, Josh Allen, he was down his new number one, new wide receiver in Keon Coleman. He was down Dalton Kincaid, his number one guy from last year. It's like, are we sure that they don't get like Josh Allen? I think deserves some credit with really elevating some guys like Patrick Mahomes has done in the past. I mean, Mac Hollins, he was the number 2 for the Raiders for a while there, and then Hunter Renfrow came. I don't know why Hunter Renfrow hasn't been picked up, but
still wondering that. Maybe everyone knows something we don't.
Probably. But other than that, it's like and Curtis Samuel with the touchdown. Just like wasn't he the number 2 for a while in Washington?
Oh, I mean, Mac Hollins and Curtis Samuel have always been good in in their positions.
Right.
Not as like number ones, but as number twos and number threes, they've always been good. I still miss Mac Hollins from the Dolphins when he was with the Dolphins because he was good and a good special teamer.
Right, but I'm just saying, like I think Josh Allen deserves some credit for stuff like that Patrick Mahomes does as well. Like, it's like when you look at like Josh Allen really is a great quarterback when you can elevate, some of these guys that maybe were cast-offs, before too.
I mean, and actually, Mac Hollins actually came from the Falcons last year, but
right. I'm just speaking. I know he was with
the
other teams and stuff. I really remember him as like the number 2 guy with the Raiders.
I just remember him the most because he was the one that caught the ball from Ryan Fitzpatrick to beat the Raiders when his helmet got twisted all the way around.
Mm-hmm. But he's always been, like you said, like solid number 2 to 3 guy. So
really, I think I don't know if Josh Allen is elevating them or these two were just always good in the positions, but they were good they were just solid pickups that are thriving in this offense.
Right? Because, I mean, you're using the right word. Good. Like, these guys are good wide receivers. Not great. Like, Amari Cooper, I feel, is one of the great ones, in this, like, the last decade. And honestly, I think, and in his own right, Khalil Shakir is actually great. He has such a completion percentage that it's, like, I think it's the
Khalil Shakir was
good. Like one of the best ever, I believe.
Khalil Shakir has been building up the last couple of years and really, really solid, and that's why he's still with the team. And they're doing fantastic this season. It wasn't Diggs that was why they were successful. Also, the best move they did last year was fire Ken Dorsey, promote Joe Brady, who will probably be a head coach sooner than later. Unless you're like Buffalo, where I'm afraid I feel like, do you really want him to leave?
But yeah, there's just solid wide receiver. Honestly, I think that they're not missing Gabe Davis. They're not missing. They had a couple of bad games, but they're not missing. Stephon Diggs. I honestly think that if I'm not gonna be surprised if Khalil Shakir gets a good contract from the Bills. Like, he deserves it. He is, he reminds me of I guess I want to say in the sense dependable, like Wes Welker and Brandon, Stokely, and even Julian Edelman, stuff like that. Not your biggest fastest, but just dependable.
Well, that's the thing with that's why they're doing so well, is that the trio of receivers, not counting Amari Cooper, but Shakir, Hollins, and Samuel are all dependable receivers. Mm-hmm. That's what I was saying about Samuel and Hollins. They're dependable, and so is Shakir. Shakir is just dependable and fast.
He's dependent. He's got the hands.
Well, I mean, that's why I was saying, dependable.
I mean, everybody's dependable in a different way. I'm just saying, he's catching the ball at such a rate,
also having Dawson Knox, who was still a favorite target of Josh Allen, helped.
Right, that even with Dalton Kincaid, I don't think that ever went away. I just think that Kincaid kind of became tight end 1.
Right.
All right.
After rooting for him to help keep the 1972 Dolphins streak alive, they can stop winning now.
I was gonna say one of the other big things was the defense really came to play. Getting the I think it was Bernard or something that got the game sealing interception.
Yes,
but they made sacks when the Chiefs didn't make sacks. They made interception. They had one more interception, I believe. But the big thing is with this defense is everybody in the offseason was writing them off. I even considered it for a little bit myself, but I know I picked them. I was just I really do need to go back and check our official ones on here. But I have them written down that I took them in one of my predictions, but I'll just say that even if I didn't, I was very much considering them. And the mistake I think everybody made was that they were getting rid of names that were on the that were just older, and they had talent that looked like that was developing. I mean, honestly, Von Miller still got a sack, made some plays. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I still don't know most of that Bills defense, and it's playing. I think it's actually playing better than most of the defenses they have had when they had names like Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White, and I mean they still have Matt Milano.
I mean, I'm sure they're waiting for him to go.
Right. I think he re-injured himself or something. I don't know if he's or if he hasn't come back yet.
If they're playing well without him, they might just trade him.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they're the only. Honestly, the only people I know on that defense, Bernard because of the last name, no idea his first name, Von Miller and DeMar Hamlin. That is it. That's all I know off the top of my head on that.
I know Taylor Rapp because he got the other interception. He's been getting a lot of interceptions lately. So
that name does sound familiar, but they're just. But that's the thing. That's the thing. Those names with Buffalo have been around for a while. These names are new. Like we're learning them. I'm pretty sure you can say if you're not if you're not a Broncos fan like me, you probably don't know. I mean, I hope maybe you know Nick Benito by now, but you might not know Nick Benito. You might not know Jonathan Cooper, Cody Barden, Riley Moss. So I get it. I get it. If
when you normally just follow your team and you only know players outside of your team if you play a decent amount of fantasy football. And I don't know how many people knew Zach Sealer for the Dolphins before this season probably, or maybe last season. But Zach Sealer was someone people don't know, and
I mean he had a pretty good contract, so people might know him, but at the same time they might not. So
or Javon Holland.
But yeah, it's just an impressive defense right now with the Bills, and an offense. So we'll see what happens. Still a little worried about Tyler Bass. Did miss an extra point, so
yeah, he made his field goal, so
True, they still won, so that's what matters in the end.
I mean, he only missed one extra point. He made everything. He made the other 3 extra points and 1 field goal. So sometimes shit happens.
Yeah. Now, big question for you. Well, and let's talk about on the Chiefs side of things. They ended a lot of streaks, being down. I think the streak of the Chiefs winning the win streak. Not just this season, but the overall. I think it was 15 games in a row. Games where the opposing team didn't score more than I think 28 or more. That's over. There's a halftime streak I believe that ended where they came back from down at halftime, and I think the double digit they didn't lose not double digit but a 2 score because they lost by 9. So I think that streak was also that was a streak too. So there were a lot of streaks. So when I say ding dong, the streak is dead, I meant the 9-0 and they lost the game. I guess the 15-0, but they lost the game this season. That was what mattered. But a lot of streaks ended this week, and my question is, how worried are you about the Chiefs? I guess on a scale of 1 to 10,
9. If they, I worry about them flipping the switch in the playoffs. Is really what it is. But I mean, I feel that.
So, what do you mean by 9? You're
very worried. About them. I know they lost. I mean, this loss might be the wake-up call for them. Once they lose to the Panthers, then who knows? But they just feel I mean, Patrick Mahomes, still isn't playing that great. But I feel they might have the ability. If they get to the playoffs, which granted is it would take devastating injuries for them not to get to the playoffs at this rate. But they're most likely going to get in there, and they're most likely going to. And it doesn't matter what spot they're in. They showed they can turn on the playoffs, and that's the scary thing is that they might be better then than they are now. And
Right. So it's odd that you answered 9 because I was thinking 9 is like a more of a you are very worried.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're very worried about how that they will. It's more that you're very worried that they will win, not that how worried are you about like my thought was I was giving them I was going to give them kind of like
You didn't specify how. Am I worried for them or worried about them?
well. I mean, you know, no, it was how worried are you like this is going to be a problem kind of thing. So
yeah, no, I'm not worried about this being a problem for them at all.
yeah, I was gonna say I am a bit worried. Like I don't know if I want to say on I was originally gonna say like a 9, but because I think I want to give about maybe a 7. That I'm worried that like they have won so many 1-score games. Like right now I'm interested to see if they'll really be able to click everything into gear, and that includes Travis Kelce, who's just looking a little older right now. If the players come back from injury and they start looking, they haven't looked dominant this season. I mean, but that doesn't necessarily matter until like the playoffs. So we'll have to see because we'll talk about the Lions, but like what the Lions are doing, that's the kind of stuff that we're like, oh. Like, can anybody stop the Chiefs when we see all these like wacky, cute, fun plays that everybody loves? When we see like end arounds or like and the scrambling of Patrick Mahomes, and we've seen some scrambling of Patrick Mahomes, but it's just like there's just something that I haven't seen yet, like I think we'll have more answers when we see the Chiefs and the Chargers play again. Because like the Panthers, they should be able to beat, and then
They have three favorable matchups on their schedule left, and 4 tougher matchups on their schedule left.
Okay, so what's their schedule look like?
So they have Carolina next.
That should be a win.
They have the Raiders on the Black Friday game.
That should be a win. It could go either way, but I think that's in Kansas City, isn't it?
Yeah. Then they have the Chargers on Sunday Night Football.
Okay.
Then they're at Cleveland.
Oh wait, the Chargers game. Where's that again?
Kansas City.
Oh.
And then they're at Cleveland, and they play Houston, and then at Pittsburgh and at Denver.
Yeah, the Chargers games concerns me, and then I don't really know about the Texans this season, but I definitely would be concerned with the Broncos and the Steelers game.
Right, at that rate, we don't know what the Texans are. We won't know what the Texans are at that rate.
Right, and we'll see. We'll see if the Chiefs are going to be fighting for what spot in the playoffs too. So
right,
that last week, right?
Right. If the Chiefs lose any more of these games, they worry about like with how the Chargers are playing, how Denver's playing. I mean, like especially like I know the Chargers are closer to them, because they have less losses. Like right. They're not guaranteed they're not guaranteed the division
at this moment. No, I mean we don't know what will happen. I mean the Raiders can still play spoiler. They still have a few tough teams, and it's not just the Bills. They've got the Steelers. The Steelers could still win the number 1 seed.
Right. I mean, if they lose to if like the Chargers beat them and the Steelers beat them, then Steelers can take the 1 seed. The Chargers might take the spot in the division, depending on their divisional records.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Denver beats them in the last week, so who knows what is this worrisome? Is this worrisome? Like the Chiefs aren't running away with the AFC, but they're still going to be trouble in the playoffs.
Yeah,
unless they magically lose all these games. which is
God, that would be really magical.
That just seems too far off right now. That's like
if they do lose these next two games, then I think there's some really big concern because this is the Panthers and then the Raiders, right?
Right. If they lose the next two games, it's going to be concerning. Who knows? Who knows? Jonathan Brooks might be making his NFL debut for the Panthers, and he might be the secret they need to run over them.
Right. Trying to think. I think that's about. I think we're good on those teams.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mention the Steelers. That's one of the teams coming up. They played tough. Field goals won the game, and honestly, it was just a AFC North
defensive battle of always.
No, not even defensive. It's just AFC North football.
Yeah.
So we'll see how Russell Wilson gets going because it's weird. Like the Baltimore defense finally showed up. They only won with what 6 field goals?
Right.
So
ironically, not the first time they did that this season. I thought.
No, it isn't. Didn't they?
It was week 1, I think.
Yeah. They beat the Falcons week 1.
Yeah, it was 18-10. So
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. And with Baltimore, I don't know. Give Derrick Henry the ball.
Right. I question the offensive play calling with Baltimore. Use Derrick Henry more. If they know how to, if Lamar Jackson is if they know how to stop Lamar Jackson, then use what they don't know. Use the weapon that's new.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't have to be a Lamar Jackson game. This was. I mean, I think. I don't know if it was Todd Monken or John Harbaugh, but it's I think they got afraid of Derrick Henry running the ball because he had a fumble. His first fumble in over 500 touches.
Right. Just because a player fumbles the ball doesn't mean to stop using that.
Right. I don't know, but we'll see if Baltimore can actually really find themselves. Don't get me wrong, I like Lamar now. He's grown on me, but I don't know how much I really like this team to go far in the playoffs. I don't even know. It's gonna be interesting because if they would be playing the Steelers again right now if the seeding ended how it did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we'll know for sure who gets 5th place or 6th place because they play the Chargers in it's the Harbaugh Bowl again. So whoever this is gonna be for the 5th and 6th seed. Most likely that's where you're gonna end up. So
right, they have a lot of tough games left. The Ravens.
Yeah, because they play most of their division, and this was their 2nd divisional game. No, they don't actually have much divisional games. I forgot they beat the Bengals, but everybody's beating the Bengals. But they're 2-2. They lost to the Browns and the Steelers.
That's who they have, and they have both those two left. The only other team that's weak that they play is the Giants. But besides that, they have the next 2 games they might not win. They have the Chargers and the Eagles.
Those are 2 really tough games because I know that they're in LA, and I'm guessing they play the Eagles in Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But they could still lose both of those games. That's a tough one. So.
And then they have, then there's their bye week, then the Giants, then the Steelers, then Houston, then the Browns.
They end with the Browns.
Mm-hmm. And they might be able to beat Houston.
That game might not even matter if they're stuck at if they clinch a playoff spot, but not
Right. Well, they might. They might be able to beat Houston, but they might. Who knows? They can beat Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of unacceptable losses. They have a couple unacceptable losses so far.
In the Browns and the
Raiders. Yeah. Losing to the Chiefs and the Steelers is fine, but I don't know. But losing to the Raiders is.
Yeah.
Losing to the Raiders is
losing to your division rival in their home, not the not the worst thing. So, while we're at it, we don't have to talk about the Browns unless they come up as an opponent. But are we out on the Bengals? Like we were saying, we thought that they could lose every game. Then we thought that they could win every game as well. But I know we talked about it last week. I think we said yes, they could win that. Yes, they could win that. Yes, they could win that. And then we said at the end, yes, they could lose all of those too. And
it looks like it's their bye week. So
I don't know what huge changes they're going to make unless Lou
they can get their head right. But after that, like
Lou Anarumo, I don't know if he's losing his job or not.
Right, we'll see probably tomorrow if any changes get made.
Yeah.
But like you're going to after your bye week, you have the Steelers.
Right now they can't beat the good team, so I think that's a loss.
Mm-hmm. And then they have the Simpsons game. Then the Simpsons game with Dallas, which you should
that
win.
Should be a win because they're a bad team.
You have no excuse not to win the every team playing the Cowboys like without Dak Prescott should have no excuse.
So what's the next game after that?
Tennessee.
That should be a win.
Cleveland after that.
Where did they play?
Cincinnati.
I want to say that should be a win, but it's a divisional opponent. I don't know.
Right, it's a divisional opponent and it's Thursday Night Football.
But even so, what they're 4-7 right now, and I have them losing. So that's going to be like 4-8, and then if they win 3 in a row, that's going to be what 7-8 right now. Okay, so
then they end with Denver and Pittsburgh.
But if you ended with Denver and Pittsburgh, and Denver's a winning team by that point, which they are a winning team right now, if both those teams have winning records by that point, and I think Pittsburgh is going to have a winning record no matter what happens, those are losses. They haven't been able to beat winning teams, if I'm not mistaken. Like anybody who has a winning record. So the best that they can do, with everything that we have seen, I think 8-9, right? Because we said like what 3 in a row, so that'd be. Oh, wait, no. I think I only said 3 wins there because they would go 8 there and then they'd lose 2 more. So that's 10. So 7-10. So, yeah, I think 7-10 might be the most likely outcome for them. So
right. They have to figure if they want any chance, any semblance to get back in this, they're going to have to figure it out on defense. But I don't think they have the people. I know they were like, what was it? I know they like had brought in Xavier Howard, who's been looking good, like from his videos. It was like, I'm like, Xavier Howard might be a better cornerback than what you have, but if you can't, they don't want to spend money.
They don't want to spend money. I think T. Higgins is going to be, I don't know. I always thought he might be a Bill. He might be a Bronco now. But honestly, I should correct myself. The only reason that they beat the Steelers at the end is because the Steelers won't be playing for anything, so they won't be playing their starters. And
it'll definitely depend on who has the number 1 seed around there, because it could be very close.
Yeah,
like if they beat Kansas City or something, and they're like neck and neck with Kansas City or the Bills, like they might need to every team might need to play the last week.
Oh, absolutely. And well, I was even going to say, well, if there was a scenario where the Bengals come roaring back and the Steelers are like, well, if they beat us, they're in. Let's stop them now. They're going to stop them because you don't want to get a hot team into the playoffs if they keep, But I love Joe Burrow. I love Jamar Chase. I'm still going to start Joe Burrow in fantasy when I can't, except for his bye week. Am I sure I can't get points from him on my bye week because he's that good?
No, points don't carry over, unfortunately.
Okay. I mean, I wish. I'm sure you wish, but that's another story. But I love Joe Burrow. I don't think the Bengals are gonna.
They lost too many games. They should have won. Like
if they won, if they were 5-6 right now and even had lost last night, yeah, they'd still be in it.
It was inexcusable, like for losing those early games, like basically inexcusable losing to New England.
But even with that one, they lost so many games by one score. Like they shouldn't have lost both of the Ravens games. They could have beat the Commanders.
The only game they lost by more than one score was the Eagles.
Yeah. So I mean, they might have looked better if they, but with some of those one score games. But I'm not trusting. I'm not trusting them right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now on the flip side of that, what do we think of the Chargers?
Well, it really depends on how the Chargers defense is. I mean, they let the
It looked good in
Bengals.
the first half.
They look good, but they let the Bengals back into the game. That was a problem.
Yep, I mean they chargered it up for a reason.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're not absolutely like guaranteed. They have a tough schedule coming up too. I mean, it gets easy at the very end, but it really depends on what they can do. The Chargers range anywhere from they can be from winning to the division to being kicked out of the playoffs. That's how it feels for the Chargers the next coming weeks.
Well, we know they got the Ravens.
Yeah, they have the Ravens. They're at Atlanta. Then
after the way Atlanta's played, I'm not really worried about them beating.
I don't. It depends on if Atlanta wakes up.
We'll talk more about Atlanta and how we really feel.
At Kansas City, versus Tampa Bay, versus Denver, and then they're at New England and at Raiders. Who knows if those two could play spoiler, because Drake Mays, they're not, the Patriots aren't exactly they're beatable, but they're not it's not easy.
I still think that without throwing out everybody and stuff, I still think they got 3 more wins there.
Mm-hmm. I think they're unless their defense utterly collapses, I think they're fine.
If they play a solid game and learn what to do against the Ravens, I think that they can beat the Ravens. If they have a shot against the Chiefs and the Broncos, I hope the Broncos beat them. That's the and but the rest, I think that they've got. I think that if they have 3 more losses and 4 wins?
Yeah, they'd be 10 and or 3 more losses, and
yeah.
If they lose 3 more, they would be so they'd end up at 11-6.
I think that's fine to get into the playoffs.
Right. I don't see many. It really depends on the NFC South games, which and their divisional opponents where they'll go.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh has really turned this team around, and I just feel like they really I know they just got hurt on defense, and their defense shouldn't have let the Bengals come back, but and also their offense their offense was being stopped by the Bengals defense too, so. It shouldn't have been as with how well they were doing in the first half. That second half, if more of that things like the second half happen to them, they're not. Other teams will take advantage of. Better teams will take advantage of them.
Oh yeah, I don't know how far they're going to make it in the playoffs, but I mean, if they it really depends on where their seeding is. If they win this week and stuff, and they get the 5th seed, I think they make it to the divisional round. No question, because I think that they could beat the Texans right now, but actually I don't know, because they both could fall apart depending on which half they each play. So, but if they're both first half teams, I don't know. I guess it's whoever's the better first half team in that game.
Right. I know the Texans collapsed last week in the second half. They both collapsed. It's going to be an ugly second half if they play against each other.
Right. I mean, we'll see. I definitely think that their weapons are coming together. Quentin Johnston looks good, which I know I wanted him, and then he looked so bad. I was like, oh, are we supposed to admit that your team? We were hoping your team would draft him, because that was
sometimes that was just
what I wanted.
That definitely feels more on coaching than on Quentin Johnston, as Johnston's getting better.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. And then who else? And
But,
yeah,
I mean,
Lad
their run
McConkey, Lad
McConkey's
McConkey is looking good. Even Disley was making a couple of plays as a tight end, and the run game. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the run game's going good, and Disley is strangely working out well for them.
Right, so we'll see. I think they are playoff bound. I'm not gonna say it's not they haven't got the playoff berth yet, but I definitely see that as I think that will happen for them.
It really depends on how they play, but
They can't collapse.
I think at minimum, I think they could still make it even if they go. I think at minimum they'll at least get 9 wins. Like that's their floor. That's if everything went wrong, I think they'd still end up with 9 wins.
Yeah, they're definitely a better team than I expected. I wasn't expecting this from them so soon. Like I thought this was kind of a reset. I don't want to say rebuild because they got a couple pieces in the draft, but really just resetting what they needed to do, resetting Justin Herbert, getting everything in place and stuff. So. But it's been working. So good on them. We'll see if they do make the playoffs.
Right.
As far as staying in the division, Bo looked amazing. I had to upgrade what I wrote because I was saying looked great. I mean, a lot of players looked great, but he looked amazing for a rookie quarterback that threw for 80% of his had 84% I think completion, but above 80%, threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. No other rookie that has done that in the history of the NFL. So, also the only other team to really beat down on another team, and this was a winning team, unlike the Lions with Jacksonville. Like this was a team that is still the division leader, had a winning record. I want to say supposed top talent at the receiving position, but I think I question Atlanta and their players, except for Bijan Robinson, as far as the talent around them.
Well, we'll have to see how Atlanta does next week because. Let's face it, a lot of teams look crappy against the Broncos defense. Your offense playing to the same level your defense does makes you a scary team,
right? I'm comparing Atlanta not just from this week, but the last week after
Yeah, well, they're losing to the Saints too, didn't.
Rizzy is really giving off some Riz there, man, with the Saints. But let's stick to the Broncos, and then we'll jump over to the NFC South. I mean, I liked how Marvin Mims was used in the game. Felt very Debo Samuel, like getting him out from the backfield, getting him to the ball, just him making some plays that helped. But it was also just like their defense, which like everybody was like, "Ooh, this defense under what's his name, Raheem Morris."
Yeah, Raheem Morris.
Yeah, I always got it confused. I know I've said it before with Raheem Moore formerly of the Broncos, but Raheem Morris, wasn't he coming in as the defense, and like they got Matthew Judon, Justin Simmons, and
he's one I'm feeling is a better court. He definitely is a better to make his defense really good. He's a better defensive coordinator. It remains to be seen how well he is as a head coach, and this might have been a mistake. But they're still atop their division. But I don't know if they're like not utilizing their weapons properly. I don't know how far they're going to go.
Right. And their weapons, we watch stuff that and it's not just watching, the YouTubers and stuff that we love, but there's questions behind Kyle Pitts. And I mean, Drake London was at least getting the ball. Like, I felt like he was probably there. Like, I do think Drake London and Bijan Robinson, I just like, I do enjoy watching them. I think that they're the players that really make that offense go round. I'm sorry, like Kirk Cousins, I know he's been good. I don't know the long term for him.
Well, what was it? Darnell Mooney had a hamstring injury, so he was out of the game, and he's been doing fantastic with the Falcons. So that hurt, but still they still barely had the stats. Like your defense just really held them like, like they couldn't do anything. Like they couldn't run the ball. They had 50 yards running with Bijan, like with Bijan and McClellan. So, and they spread the ball around, but it really didn't.
Right.
Your defense was just too much for them.
Yeah, I just want to the defense. I mean, Cody Barton, Nick Benito. Forget if Jonathan Cooper made a sack. I know John Franklin Myers was making plays. I know Malcolm Roach. Like everybody on that defense, PS2 was pretty locked down. Just the defense played great when and just making plays. Like I seriously forget if Jonathan Cooper made big plays. I know Nick Benito did. I think Jonah Ellis did because I know he was playing against his brother on the Falcons. Do you have any stats on Jonathan Cooper? Because I'm seriously that's how good our defense played this week. I mean,
he only got 2 total tackles, it says,
okay,
and 1 solo.
Okay, so that might. So I'm. So yeah, he didn't have his a game, but I know Nick Benito did, and but that's the thing. Not everybody has to make a play during right now. These are names that you only know if you listen to Broncos fans and stuff. But they're really coming together. Every week everybody's I think back, it's oh, this was the most complete game. It's first it was the Bucks game, and then it was the Saints game. The Panthers, we were a little not as good as the Saints, and then we looked good against and then we really looked good against the Chiefs. But this was the most complete game on offense and defense because everybody was coming together. Everybody was getting the ball. It wasn't just Cortland Sutton. It was Marvin Mims. Troy Franklin got a touchdown. Little Jordan Humphrey. Vele was, everybody was coming together. And then the whole team, a lot of the team was just got Javonte Williams into the end zone too.
Right.
It was magical. And yeah, Cortland had a great catch. And Bo's just throwing the ball phenomenal. He really I know they didn't talk, I know we watch our shows and stuff, but it didn't get talked about nearly enough, the fact that he is sneaking up, and you could actually debate right now, he is the rookie of the year, the offensive rookie of the year right now.
We'll have to wait and see between him and Jaden.
Right?
The thing, one thing I wanted to mention, you said Cortland had a great catch. I also wanted to add the day ends in Y.
I know he does not get nearly enough credit as his contemporaries. I think did I use that word right? I don't know. But the other wide receivers.
Cortland always has. It seems like Cortland always has a great catch, so that's why. Ironically, it's weird to hear that a Broncos player played his brother on the Falcons because we'll get to it, but a Dolphins player played his brother on the Raiders too.
Wow, we had such a crazy week because I know next week we play both rivalry games. So I wasn't even thinking that's crazy because I know who it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was right. It was he with Cortland and stuff. Wide receiver, his contemporaries. I don't think that they give enough credit to Cortland Sutton. I truly think he's a top 10 wide receiver. I can give you. I can't say top 5, but he makes a lot of amazing plays, and maybe he doesn't get the yards, but he gets the touchdowns, and he catches the ball.
It's more the context of his catches makes him one of the top receivers. I feel
that he can just get the ball, most of the time. So, but yeah, Bo's just I don't think he has the yards, but if you get rid of a few of those first few games, obviously count all of them, but dude, he's got I think it's 19 total touchdowns right now, and that includes a receiving touchdown. Do you have the stats on that?
On what?
Oh, on Bo Nix's total touchdowns.
Let's see if I can find that. 14.
Oh, okay. Is that 14 total though?
Yeah.
Okay. How many does he have of each?
I don't know. It's fine. It's just they they say that he's 11th in the league right now.
Wow, whole league. Wow.
He has 4. It looks like he has 4 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, so 4 rushing.
No, yeah, 4 rushing, 1 receiving, and
how many passing?
Probably 9 if there's 14 of them.
I think he has more than 9 because he had 4 yesterday.
Okay, no. I guess that's 14, just 14 passing touchdowns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says 14 passing touchdowns.
I was right with 19 because 14 plus
4 plus 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has 4 rushing, 1 receiving, 14 passing.
Yeah, so 19 total touchdowns.
So,
we're going to use total touchdowns with everybody else. We're going to include the receiving one and keeping total touchdowns a thing. But no, that's fantastic. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to beat like some other people's rookie records. I mean, there's still 6 games. We don't have a bye yet. We got the late bye in week 12, which should hopefully be good for a playoff push. But we got 6 games left. You never know what could happen, especially if
your bye weeks in 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. We got the Raiders and then the bye.
No.
No, you're right. We got the Raiders,
Cleveland,
and then the bye. Yeah. So hoping for some more touchdowns, hoping for some good games out of our offense and defense. But everything's looking good. I'm so proud of the team to come out after the heartbreaking. I was literally like Steve Carell's Michael Scott in my room when I was watching. I like the nose that came out of my mouth, like just so loud and so frustrating when they blocked that kick. But the team, and I'm sure they were heartbroken too, but they came back resilient and kicked some Falcon tail. So I'm proud of my team. And
as you should.
And honestly, even though I didn't do it yet, no matter what happens, this was still a rebuild year. Like we weren't expecting playoffs. I know some people wanted playoffs. I didn't get around to that podcast. I'm kind of glad I didn't right now. But like I said, I wasn't expecting playoffs. I wanted a winning record. That was the least, But we also beat the Vegas odd makers too, and with 6 wins when they only thought we were going to get 5.5.
Should have bet on that. Should have bet on that.
Some people thought we were going to only get. We should have been at 2.5.
No, they underestimated Bo Nix and his ability to grow.
Right? He really learned, and I think that just shows how great he is. And we'll see what else happens with him, but can't wait to watch these next 6 games. All right, shall we continue talking about the South, or do you want to talk about the Dolphins? We'll leave this one up to you, right?
I mean, I guess we could finish your division.
I guess. If we're gonna do my finish off my division, Brock Bowers was awesome. I hate that the Raiders have him. I have him in fantasy. That's the only reason I really paid attention to anything with the Raiders. And that is pretty much the only compliment that they're gonna get, because really the only one that made that truly, like, I think did anything other than that other touchdown. I think that was from, was it Samir White or something, or the one that
Abdullah.
Okay, I was gonna say the one that that you guys messed up on, and but I mean it didn't really matter, because was it like Jonnu Smith was like completely wide open and ran in for that touchdown. Like that was awesome.
we completely like wrecked them. Like I know it was like 34-19. We did not punt the entire game. I think the only time we didn't score was because it was running out of time in the first half.
I can't even say that with the Broncos, and we had the dominant 38-6 game.
Yeah, it was 34-19. Like we had these like long drives that each one like scored on. Like Tua was playing so good, and yeah, Jonnu, that play was great. Like that's like the normal, like those are like the normal touchdown scoring play we were making when we were like scoring insanely. Well,
and the Tyreek one too. Like Tyreek was just, if I wasn't mistaken, like wasn't he just like wide open when he came off the? Oh no, he wasn't wide open. He ran the whole way of the field. I'm thinking last week's game where he was just wide open, but he ran like Tua was getting snuffed out, like he was about to run out of bounds, but then Tyreek came all the way from the other end and hit him with the
Tua was like they were saying, Tua can't make like the off script plays. Now Tua's making those too. too. But yeah, Jonnu just running down the field was great. He randomly he threw the ball into the stands and magically hit his family, which was fantastic. Like there was video footage of that. Like I saw it from Jonnu's Twitter. So
man, talk about family and the Eichenberg brothers, right?
Yeah, it was the Eichenbergs that played against each other.
And did they actually play? Because one's
I believe so. I believe Tommy is a linebacker and Liam's is a guard.
You usually don't have where they play each other, you know, on the same side of the ball, or even on the line where I could see that they may have even matched up at some point. I don't know if they did, but at least there's a possibility that they did.
Right, I'd have to check it.
Yeah,
how well they did. I mean, Liam's all right. I mean, but we'll see. Like, but yeah, like the offensive line seemed like it held. HN, you know, kept doing good, like 100 yards together, running and passing. He's running and receiving. Yeah, rushing and receiving. Yes, he's not Taysom Hill.
Oh man, Taysom Hill. I mean, that team got the Riz right now. I'm sticking with that. So
they got the Rizzy.
They got the Rizzy indeed.
But yeah, they got a lot of long passes, and, you know, got Jalen, and Julian Hill was actually doing good, and I don't think even had a holding penalty, so good on him.
Did you even? I think you had like one penalty in the game.
I think, yeah,
I remember something like that. I think, and it might have been really early in the game, anyways. But you can double check that. I'm just gonna give a special shout out to my fantasy kicker this week, Jason Sanders.
Yeah,
he didn't miss. I wish that they would have.
Right.
I was expecting. I wasn't sure. I'm glad the offense is coming together. I was expecting. He still got me 10 points. So
he made 4 extra points and 2 field goals, and I'm just happy the defense is playing better.
Right. I was expecting the opposite. If you really want to know the truth, I was expecting 4 field goals and 2 extra points.
What else? Chop Robinson's doing good. He didn't get like a sack, but he's like he's like has one of the highest pressure rates of anyone on defense in the NFL. So that's good. I think if we can get Bradley Chubb back finally, like if we get some other like pass rushing help.
He's still. That's the worst thing is like he hurt himself in like the end of December, early January. So he should be back. Wasn't there a complication or something?
There was some other thing with him, but you know, if we get him back, I'd rather have him back and healthy for the late game. If this late game push, we can get him to the playoffs with our quarterback and pass rush.
Yeah,
hopefully. I mean, it's going to take a lot, but we've got 2 back-to-back wins, which is so helpful. I'm so glad we're at like 4-6 and above like certain other teams that I feel like we're better. We have the talent.
2-8. There was a whole chance you were going to be 2-8.
We have more talent. We have more talent on our team that, like, you know, the talent on our team is higher than our win record. Like,
yeah. Well, it was those games where they put Tua on IR. They didn't have a plan, and I like we haven't gotten into it. And I know I said it in kind of a joking manner, but with Daniel Jones being benched in New York, that's one of the big news with the Giants, and we're not really going to talk about the Giants and stuff, but if he's a he's pretty much going to be a free agent next year. I don't think he's a bad option as a backup quarterback for the Dolphins.
We can see. I'm sure the Dolphins will do their due diligence on getting a backup quarterback
for sure.
But honestly, I think the play calling has gotten better, and it feels more that I think Mike McDaniels finally got his head out of his ass with the play calling than it was the backup quarterback situation. But I think it was a combination of both. Yeah, the play calling, I just feel like when Tua wasn't there, like we were still figuring things out and getting past the rust that we had from last season and a lot of the problems. Now we feel like we're playing how we did early in the season, late in the season.
Yeah, well, I think I mean you didn't really have a good backup quarterback situation. I think that was really shown.
Right. I'm still not sure. Like how I said, I put some of the blame on the coaching. I put some of the blame on the general manager for not having a good backup quarterback. But I mean, no one was expecting Skylar Thompson to be that bad when he played decently in a playoff game. So he's regressed, and
Well,
but I don't know if we still would have won with a better option.
yeah.
I mean, it might depend on who the option was.
I mean, I don't know who made the call on the backup quarterback, because there's getting them, and then also, it's not like, the general manager only does so much. There's also got to be like, the coach who says, hey, this is the depth chart, and
well, I mean that no one expect. I mean, Skyler did okay. Skyler did okay, and Tim Boyle probably should have had a full game instead of being a backup at times. But
yeah,
but,
that's really where that's why I kind of blame Mike a little bit more.
Well, that's why I was saying it was a bit on the play calling and a bit on, but we didn't expect, like I said, didn't expect that on how bad Skylar Thompson played. But I think there was something up with the play calling too, because they should have been able to get it to the good players.
Mm-hmm.
But that just shows you how important Tua is.
Right. I mean, I won't lie and say that I think that somewhat Jalen Waddle's having a big slump this year, and that
I don't know if it's the lack. I don't know if it's a combination. Besides the early stuff, I don't know if it's a lack of stuff on him, or just the addition of how much Jonnu Smith is being used.
I mean, I don't know, because you'd think that Waddle's still the number 2 guy when you have Tyreek Hill, but if Tyreek Hill's still making plays and doing stuff,
that's why that's basically. I think it's actually more the addition of Achane and Jonnu Smith, because I don't think Waddle is the number 2 guy. He's the number 2 receiver, but he's not the number 2 guy. I think they throw it to Achane or Jonnu Smith more now.
Well, he's still the number 2 guy in the with the wide receivers, and that's what you're the pass catchers out the back and stuff, but he's still the number 2 guy when it's all said and done, when Tyreek is the one getting covered by the number 1 cornerback most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're the second best cornerback, or even, is not going after,
well, no one was going after Jonnu Smith, so that's why he was doing so. No one after Jonnu Smith. That's how he scored that 1 touchdown, but
nobody was. Everybody forgot him, but that was because I think they played zone.
It was a bit of playing zone, and I think they did go after Jalen Waddle. I think they said go after him and left Jonnu open. So,
but still, I don't know.
Like I've said, it's a team sport. Whoever's open and can score, go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, the threat of Jalen Waddle is still important.
I mean, true, but you're not getting paid that much. You're not getting paid for that. They gotta get him there's still gotta be sometimes getting him the ball.
I mean, yes, they need to get him the ball, but I mean, it's more about team success. And if he's helping if he helps block and stuff and helps make the others open, then it's helpful.
You can have team success, and still go through a slump. I mean, I don't think anything that I've said is untrue.
Well, I mean, when he gets the ball, he's successful with it. I just don't think they're targeting him as much.
Yeah.
And I don't think. I mean, I guess that might put him in. I guess that might mean. I don't think he's. I feel like a slump is that he's not catching it, or he's not running as fast, but he's still, when he gets the ball, he's completing it when he needs to. I don't know how many drops he has this season, but. You know what I mean? Yeah, he does not have high target numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but sometimes, sometimes you got to make sure you get open so you can be the target. So it's. I mean, it is a lot on the quarterbacks. There is some on him too, but hopefully it pans out, and I think he's only had 1 touchdown this year. That's only one I can remember.
Yeah, only 1 touchdown.
Yeah, but I mean, just hopefully they'll now. I'm in that spot where I hope you keep winning, but but at the same time, I want the playoff spot more than I want you to have playoff spot.
I want the playoff. I mean, eventually we want the Chargers or the Ravens to lose, but if it comes down to between us, I don't want you to keep winning either.
I mean, the bad thing is, I think everybody. I mean, you might have lost too many too early.
I mean, yes, that's completely fair, but there are a lot of tough games for a lot of these other teams, and it's all real, and it all comes down to how you finish.
Right.
Because it's as unrealistic as it is for the Dolphins to win every game left. It's as unrealistic as the other playoff teams to win every game left too.
Well, I mean, on the bright side with the teams that are in the 5-7 spot is we don't have to win all the rest of the game. So
you can't lose all the rest either, though.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I was gonna say it is kind of realistic. Some teams could lose the rest. I mean, I haven't talked about the 49ers, but their schedule looks tough. And well, with the Bengals without defense, we don't know. So
right, like some of these other teams are like right. It's some of their. It just really depends on how the season goes for other teams.
Right. Well, on the bright side is one team between the Chargers and the Ravens are losing next week.
Right. I don't know if they tie, if that's good or bad.
I think bad for everybody but me.
But I mean, at least on the bright side, at least like you play. I mean, you play the Chargers as well, and play some of the other ones to get through them. But we'll see how the season shakes out.
Yep.
And it's still a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work for the Dolphins, and I'm not saying we're playoff bound, but I still hope for it.
I'm still hoping for it too. So for the Broncos, I mean, you are my second choice if I had to pick between the Ravens and the Chargers. So
right,
it goes with it's like the Chargers. They can get knocked out.
I mean, the Chargers and the Ravens have suspect defensive issues, so we'll see if they can get past those.
Yeah, we shall see.
That we shall.
All right. Next. Now, are we good with the? I think we said everything we needed to do on that game.
Yeah. There was not much to say about the Raiders besides what you said about Brock Bowers, the high point of them. And
I will say that non-QB wise, he is the rookie of the year.
Yeah,
and he's in the competition for rookie of the year if the quarterbacks kind of slump off or something, and if he kept going. He would be.
Right. I mean, I thought Puka Nacua should have won it last year, but but I don't know what a non-QB needs to do to a non-offensive like QB rookie of the year needs to do to win it. But
I mean, basically not have a good quarterback. It was going to be hard this year. There were 6 of them, and with 3 starting and now 4 playing.
Right.
So the fact that he's beating the wide receivers is great. So I think we can move to the South now.
Yes, yeah.
All right. The South. This is an interesting division because the Broncos owned it, but can we just have their spot? I think we should win that division because we beat them all handedly.
That would be a fun rule if a team has a better win record and beats like the same or better and beats out an entire division should just steal their spot.
Right. I mean, we're 4-0 in the division.
Right.
Anyways, like we talked about the Broncos game, but Atlanta just. I mean, I swear, didn't they get don't they have like some of these defensive players? Like they got Matthew Judon, Justin Simmons. They had some defensive players. Signed Jesse Bates, and I think Jesse Bates made a couple plays this last game, but it just feels like
their defense should be better than they are.
And I mean, that's only part of it. The Kirk Cousins is that Achilles catching up to him? Like he just was not mobile. Not any of these last couple of weeks. It just feels like I don't know. Did he aggravate something? Maybe we'll see if Penix comes in to start sooner than later. I wouldn't be against it because you got a healthy lead right now. So I think 2 game.
Yeah, they're 2 games away from the Buccaneers.
Right, but honestly, I think anything can happen, and with Mike Evans being able to come back, Baker and the Bucs had the bye. I really like the Buccaneers coming. I'm not liking outside of Bijan Robinson and Drake London. I'm not really liking anything for the Falcons. So
Darnell Mooney.
Mooney.
But he got hurt during.
Mooney's a good number 2. I'll definitely give him that. But I don't care I'm not seeing anything really out of that team where I think the Bucks, I picked them. I still like them. I still think that they can get this division with, if they play some better defense and Mike Evans plays, because like they were in both their last couple games. I mean, you saw how close they were with the Chiefs. They took them to overtime. I forget, who did they play before the bye? Oh, it was the 49ers.
Yeah, the 49ers.
And that came down to overtime as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Evans, future Hall of Famer, wide receiver, makes an extra, few passes, catches, and gets a touchdown. They win those games. I think that he's a missing element that I think can propel them onto a win streak. In my opinion.
Yeah, no, they have an easy schedule, and having a receiver of the quality of Mike Evans allow him taking, him actually being a threat will take the pressure off the rookies. Sterling Shepard, right, will be able to do better. Cade Otton will be able to do better. They'll be more successful with Mike Evans. They do have an easier schedule than the Falcons,
right?
I see them being able to be more successful.
Right, their games consist of. And games, we'll play that game. You can do it this time. I'll read them out to you. What do you think? Giants?
Well, I don't think Tommy DeVito is going. I don't think they want. I think they threw Tommy DeVito in because they don't want to win the Giants. So yeah, Tampa Bay.
I can see that. At the Panthers.
I mean, aren't the Panthers still on a win streak? So it really depends on what the heck they are. But I think they have that unless the Panthers like magically win the Chiefs and their hot streak continues.
I mean, if they stay hot, then anything's possible. Raiders.
I'll give it to Tampa Bay.
This is probably where they lose, but the Chargers.
They have a shot. I mean, they did push. I mean, they might lose in overtime.
Yeah, I can see that. The Cowboys.
Yeah, they'll win that.
And then the Panthers in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, if the Panthers are magically still streaking, maybe not, but I definitely think they're going to win that.
And then the Saints.
I don't know what the Saints are but I think they could win out on all of them. But I think the Saints might get them there. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Unless I see some like vast improvement in the next week or two, from the Falcons, I really like the Buccaneers, but I can also see the Saints overtaking the Falcons as well.
The Saints have a shot, and like I said, and if Carolina can magically beat the Chiefs, then all things are open for them.
Yeah, that's true. I'll just say, because they have what, Darren Rizzi?
The Saints,
yeah,
they have the Rizzi.
Yes, I just want to make sure I had his first name right. I like how they've played under him, and they've got the Rams in New Orleans, which if the Saints just play how they played like the first couple weeks and the last couple weeks, that can be a win. The Giants can be they can win. They can win the game against the Giants. I think the Commanders and Packers will get them. So it's going to be really, really tough. But I like them against the Raiders, and the Buccaneers is honestly a coin flip. And they're like, what are they right now? Unfortunately, they lost so many games that they're like 4-7.
Yeah, they should have fired Dennis Allen a lot sooner.
Yeah, so it is unfortunate that they lost so many, and with those two really tough games between the Commanders and the Packers, if they get, 8-9 might be able to win this division.
It is the NFC South,
so we'll see. Don't have to go through every team. I think the Panthers are still rebuilding, and without saying all of the teams, but I'll just say the Falcons have they've got the Chargers, the Vikings, and the Commanders coming up, and I don't like them in any of those games.
Right, the Falcons are on bye this week, so hopefully they figure out what the hell's wrong with them.
Right, and if that's 3 more losses, so that would put them at like 8 losses, and they might be able that's the thing. It's like where I say with the Buccaneers as well. It's like they've got that 2-game lead is important. So if they can do anything, but I don't know if that offense can move against the Giants, and the Panthers could even give them an upset. So so I'm not holding my breath with the Falcons. We'll see. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna happen unless they have like some spark.
Right. They just need to. I mean, it really depends on like the health and the game plan of of them, because Like Kirk threw for 500 yards this season, and like barely could do anything. Now, granted, it could have just been against your defense.
Right, but they didn't look good the week before that either. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, I think we can move over to the NFC West, which is just it's average, the way to put it. I mean, it's definitely better than the NFC South. It's just I mean I'm loving the Cardinals, and I think that they're gonna they're gonna keep being scrappy, and I think the Cardinals can win the division because I like how they're playing. I like what they've built around. I like how just how they're playing overall. Without getting into the schedule, because we don't have to do that with every team. The 49ers just look hurt. So
right. I mean, I think the Cardinals have a good shot. I mean, some of these, I think some of the other teams might have harder people to play going forward.
Right. I mean, are you on any other team? No, like, are you on any other team for the division? Because like we got the Seahawks, the Rams, anything with them?
I wouldn't count the Rams out of it.
I mean, I wouldn't technically count either of them out of it, but if somebody falters in the wild card position, I could see there being a chance at one of the other West teams. But I truly think that there will only be one. And if I had to, wager it, I'd still pick the Cardinals. The Rams, I don't know what we're gonna get. I mean, they looked better against the Patriots. They looked kind of pedestrian against you on offense against the Dolphins, and the Seahawks. I don't know either.
All right, we'll have to see about. How the Rams played against us was kind of like a mirror match. We just outplayed them in the same type of way. So, but not many other teams. I don't know how many other teams going forward can do that. I mean, I know they have a few tough teams, few easy teams. So that's a bit of a mix.
The Seahawks, I don't know. Nick Bosa left the game, and they scored like that defense for the 49ers wasn't the same. So I don't know if they've got it. So that's why I'm not. I need to see it again, like what they do like this coming week. All the teams to really see if they can change my mind. Besides, the Cardinals. If Cardinals keep playing their way, I think they'll get a playoff game. I don't know if they'll win a playoff game because they're gonna have either they'd probably be they could have the Vikings, the Packers, or the Commanders. So
right. I think the Seahawks. Well, it'll be interesting to see about the Seahawks because they play the Cardinals for the first time.
Okay, so that will help. I was gonna say. I mean,
they played them both. They played them twice in 3 weeks.
Right. I mean, you could have told me, oh, they're gonna play this one lousy team. I'm like, well, they lost to the Giants, so I don't have much faith in them.
Right. They got lucky like early in their schedule.
They have gotten like that's the thing. I don't know if they're. I think they're. We talk about the Chiefs being lucky. I think they've been luckier when they beat Bo Nix in the Broncos in his first game. They went to overtime against the Patriots, and then they beat a tool-less Dolphins team to go 3-0. And they're what, 5-6 right now?
5-5.
5-5. So they beat,
and they got lucky, and they got lucky. Nick Bosa got hurt too. So like 4 of their 5 wins were based on luck. They beat the Falcons, and that was their most dominant win. That there's not like an excuse for.
Right. But that was the team that when we were talking about the Falcons. The Falcons just looked so like pedestrian and empty against. So was that truly a good win for them? Like it was a good win, but we're seeing how the Falcons are. It might be a little bit more on the Falcons than the Seahawks. No offense to any of our Seahawks listeners, but it's just I trust them less than the 49ers, and I don't care if they just beat the 49ers. Anything.
They want it.
Anytime that give. I know injuries are part of the game, but I just think that was a fortunate break for the Seahawks.
Yeah. Well. It really depends on if they get it, if they're good, if they can actually stand up to Arizona or not. Because if they can't match up to Arizona, and they have the rest of the NFC North everyone but the Lions. There's not much. They don't have much. They don't have they have some favorable matchups, but it's a lot of tough teams.
Yeah, we shall see then.
Mhm.
Last thing for me
Mhm.
is to just, if we wanted to talk about just some of the other teams that were looking good in the NFC. With the Lions were dominant again, nothing much to say there. They've got 3 games where they're scoring like winning about like what 38, or then they've got like a few games with 50 points.
Right, this is the best season. Like I think this is like the best season ever for Detroit.
Right? I mean, some of their stuff like they're doing better since like the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I forget if they have 2 or 3 games with that they've won by 38 points. I don't know how many times they scored 50, but
They have scored 50 twice.
okay, so then they've won.
They've scored 4, and they've scored
I think they
40 twice.
Okay, and then they won by 38. I think 3 times by 38. So it's just like a dominant performance.
Yeah, the 47 time they scored 47, and then the 2 times they scored 52.
Yeah, so that just tells me that there's a lot of playmakers. Like nobody's. I don't feel like anybody's like you look at the Lions currently with Aiden Hutchinson hurt. Except who are you going to tell me like oh, I want that like that's my number one guy. Like are you gonna like running back wise? They're probably like maybe 3rd or 4th. You're probably taking like if you were starting a team, like you're gonna take like Derrick Henry or Saquon or healthy like CMC before any of their running backs. Same thing with wide receivers. Like I mean, I love Amon-Ra St. Brown, but you've got Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Probably I think people. I'd still say I think people would take Tyreek. Possibly like Garrett Wilson, and and then I'd say like even more, maybe like the 2 from the Rams. Like there are like maybe at most the highest like Amon-Ra would be maybe the 5th guy. So, and you're not taking Jared Goff first. Like none of these guys are like your 1st, 2nd, or even 3rd like person that you're starting a team with. At least the skill position players.
After this season, then they might be.
Yeah, I think like they make it to a Super Bowl and win.
They all move. They all move up.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, like it's like he can do. He's one of I could take him at the very least. 3rd. Like Jared Goff. Well, I'm going to take him before Purdy. Like he's at least in the top 5, I think. Then maybe even probably number. Yeah. So and the running backs are definitely going to be like, oh no, I'm taking. I mean, I've taken Gibbs in fantasy, but I'd take that running back. Like that running back tandem is definitely number 1. Like if you're taking both of them, like that's the number 1. Like you're not stopping.
I mean, it's pretty easy.
Or you're stopping one. You're not stopping both.
It's pretty easy. I think it's almost. I mean, it's arguable to say, just discounting this season alone, that Jared Goff is like might be the best quarterback in the league. Like that, you could take him over a lot of other people. Take him over about 26 others.
Mm-hmm. I mean, with his accuracy and what he's been doing, I mean, like depending on, like I think you could take him. If he makes the Super Bowl, 2nd Super Bowl, only other quarterback that would have made a 2nd Super Bowl besides Patrick Mahomes. Honestly, I think that would move him up to number 2 if you he'd be up there, because it's like Joe Burrow, can beat the Chiefs, plays great. Lamar, sure, he's got the MVPs and he plays great in his own way, in his own right, just like Josh Allen does. But like those 3, MVP, if Josh Allen makes the Super Bowl, like that's a different story. Even, if it's Lions Bills, but it's like then you could put like if it's a Lions Bills Super Bowl, you could put like the winner at 2 and then the loser at 3, because either Jared Goff lost 2 Super Bowls or he won 1 Super Bowl. So it's like so like, and then maybe you can talk, and if they win it, then yeah, you're absolutely right about talking about like taking some of these players to start a team.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show you that some teams, like some quarterbacks, just need time in the right system to develop.
Right. Well, the thing is, he had a perfect passer rating this week, right? This is the 2nd time, and he's the only quarterback that has done it where he's thrown for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and got the perfect passer rating in 2 different seasons. He did it as a Ram, if I'm not mistaken.
Like he really is like really good, and the Rams, like, I mean, the Rams, they won their Super Bowl with the trade, and if this might be if the Lions win the Super Bowl, then it's going to be like the best trade that helped both teams.
Right. Well, and then, I mean, honestly, you kind of start saying that like maybe the Lions won that trade because they got Jared Goff and 2 first-round picks. And if they win it and go back to another one anytime in the next few years, they won that trade.
What it comes down to right now, the Rams are winning the trade. If the Lions win the Super Bowl,
they tie the trade.
They tie the trade.
No, they actually win the trade because they got the 2 first-round draft picks and they'd have one Super Bowl wins. So if they win a Super Bowl, they won the trade. The Lions. Right?
I think it would depend on who does. I think it would depend on who ends up in more like who ends up further. Like, well,
I guess
not
they would
exactly
be
a second Super Bowl, but
they would be winning the trade at that point. Right now, the until their careers are done,
it would depend on how those players they got are used and how well they like stay. But I mean, and how well those careers go. But I think it's. I think it would. I think we'd need to. I don't know if they're winning the trade exactly.
The Rams are winning the trade right now.
I meant, yeah, I know the Rams are winning trade right now. I just don't think if the Lions win a Super Bowl, I don't think it means they're winning the trade. I think it just means they're tied.
I mean, at worst you can say that they're tied. I think. Like I think like there is no like at best for the Rams they tied the trade.
The Rams gave up the Rams gave up a lot to win gave up all that stuff to win a Super Bowl, and they won a Super Bowl to get to do that. Like you can't really it's kind of weird to say they're losing the trade. If like Matthew Stafford doesn't end up, it really depends on like the rest of Matthew Stafford's career and the longevity of the number 1 draft pick's career to manage it.
Yeah, I'd have to see who they picked again, because it wasn't just number 1 picks. I think there were like a couple other picks in there too, that players that I'm linking on who exactly. But yeah, I think we're good on the Lions. I mean, unless you're gonna tell us.
Yeah, I'm looking at seeing the players they pick up. So they got a 2022 first round pick, 2023 first round pick, and 2021 third round pick.
A 2020 what third round?
21.
I didn't realize it was that far back. So
I'm just trying to find out who those players were taken.
Well, while you're looking at that, I will say
one of them is defensive back Melifonwu.
Okay, I was gonna say Jesse Bates is another like maybe like he might be like number 2 or 3 kicker right now for the way that he's kicking. I mean he is currently with Butker on IR and stuff, he's probably like between 1 and 2 between him and Brandon Aubrey. Like he's like those guys can be like serious weapons to and Jesse Bates is wait, am I saying the right name? The kicker?
Jesse Bates is the defensive back.
He's the defensive back. Who's the kicker?
Jake Bates.
Jake Bates. See, it's okay. People do that to our names all the time. So
okay, so basically the other 2 after Melifonwu, they got Jameson Williams in the 2022 draft.
He was one of the ones I thought was one of the picks from the one of the Rams picks.
Then they traded down from the 6th pick last year's draft to get multiple picks, and that was Gibbs and Laporta. So
well, if they turn out and keep going, I mean Laporta's had a little bit of a sophomore slump, but Gibbs on the other hand, but yeah, Jake Bates, like I said, everybody mistakes our names. A lot of J names, but he's been a great he's been a great kicker. Like definitely one of those ones where and he did save the day against the Texans.
Well, he did, and what it comes down to is that why I say like they would be tied in the trade, because if they win it now, that means they needed all the draft picks, all the extra draft picks that they got from the Rams.
I mean, we don't know how it would have gone. I mean, if they didn't do the trade, could they have still won the Super Bowl? I mean, the way with Jared Goff playoffs playing.
Right, Matthew Stafford might have been able to win a Super Bowl with
Who knows?
with Dan Campbell and
like I said, Lions. If the winner, the true like winner, they both can be winners.
That's basically what I'm getting at. I just can't see a scenario where, since the Rams have won the Super Bowl, this trade leads to them being losers.
It's more like if the Lions get more Super Bowls out of it, it means that they could have the Rams could have kept Jared Goff, used their first round picks to have maybe win multiple ones. They did what essentially like they kind of just, I don't want to say bought it now, but they mortgaged some stuff for the future, and that's the worst thing is when you look at somebody like you look at Cooper Kupp, they drafted him, and you look at Puka Nacua, look at how well they're being coached and this talent that Sean McVay found. Like, could you just have imagined if they kept some of that stretch of having no first round picks that they could have just developed and had more? That's really what I'm getting at. I mean, like, there really isn't going to be a loser.
No, they mortgaged the future. They mortgaged the future and won the Super Bowl that they wanted to win, and they knew what they were doing for that Super Bowl.
I can just say long-term winner could be the Lions. Bigger winner, Lions.
Yes, that could be. Who knows? The Rams could win a Super Bowl too within the next few years.
And if they do, then that if they win another Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford and that and whatever, I think they got to trade back, whatever, a pick back or whatever. But basically, if they do it with Matthew Stafford, and the Lions only have one, then I'd honestly be saying the same thing about them, like bigger winner. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's like there's always losers in football, so it's hard to say like you're not wrong, but you can say like it's just like you had more wins. That's what matters.
Like they got right. It's right. Like in the short term, like I don't like. There's only like I guess losers in the long. They might be like it's hard to say they would be even in the long run. They would be losers because they got the Super Bowl out of it, but and they still have drafted well lately. So it's like
like I said, imagine what they could have done if they kept their draft picks.
I don't know if they would have made some of the moves the Lions did, but yeah.
Well, but I mean, like I said, look at Puka Nacua. Look at some of these other players that are just kind of coming up and making a name for themselves. So.
Exactly.
I mean, I was gonna say like we can talk about the I know I wanted to finish off with the Eagles and the Commanders after their Thursday night game, but like just look at the Eagles. I mean, head coaching aside, if he stays out of their way, they've got a really good team, maybe even a great team. And I mean, other than Saquon just wanting to sign with them, they've been doing great at the talent level. So I mean, sure it might be like the Georgia Eagles on the defense.
Right, but
they're doing their thing, and right now it feels like it's working. And yes, they did trade for AJ Brown, but Tennessee was so dumb to give him up.
Yeah, Tennessee is more dumb than Tennessee and like Tennessee and the Carolina are like two of the top two teams that like made some of the worst decisions.
Right, like if you really look at the talent that they've had over the last 5 years, if you just freaking kept it, one of them there'd probably be, I think the Titans probably could have gotten the Super Bowl. Like if you add the talent that they have now with like Calvin Ridley, when they had DeAndre Hopkins, if they just kept Derrick Henry, and then just did like, I love Ryan Tannehill, but if you just maybe grab somebody, maybe took somebody,
instead of trading for AJ Brown, you should have traded for trading away AJ Brown. You should have traded for a quarterback.
or if you kept AJ Brown and everybody was on, Ryan Tannehill probably could have gotten him over the hump.
Right.
Like if they had just kept the pieces together, because it didn't. Forget was Jonnu Smith tight end too?
He was a tight end back then.
So like if you just kept some of these pieces together, you had some good defensive pieces. pieces and just kept them all together, I think they could have possibly gotten over the hump.
But hey, I mean, they got rid of Mike Vrabel, so like on top of everything else, so I really don't know what the owner's thinking. So
I don't know who's in charge. If it's owner, GM, probably both.
Right, I don't know what
we're wasting our breath on talking about what ifs with the Titans because until they get back,
they were at the highest of highs and now at the lowest of lows.
Right. They're gonna have like another top 5 draft pick, I think, or they'll have a top 5 draft pick this year,
right?
Maybe a top 10. So, but yeah, just the Eagles are looking great. I won't be surprised if it's Eagle. We're gonna see how the Commanders play against them when they play in Washington, and I need to see some good games coming from Washington after like losing so close to they were really close to beating Pittsburgh because they lost by a point, but then they just it fell apart against the Eagles in Philly. So I just need to see a little bit more. I think we can all tell with some of the production that Jaden Daniels is hurting.
Right, like some of these games, it's like I know Jaden wants to play, but for his health, maybe let Marcus Mariota play. He won a game for them,
right? But he said the 10 days they're gonna have like the 10 days rest after that mini bye from playing Thursday night. So we'll see how he does this week. If not,
I'm sure Marcus Mariota could beat the Cowboys.
I believe that. I really do. I forget. Did they have their bye already?
Who? Washington? No.
Okay, so maybe he should rest. Let Marcus play because I think they have the same bye as the Broncos.
They do.
I mean that's 2 more weeks. We'll see. I was just gonna say about Saquon. Man, if they didn't just do the freaking tush push each time that Saquon Barkley was on the 1 yard line with the Eagles, he'd have I think like 8 or 9. And probably be the leading MVP right now.
He would be if Jalen Hurts just.
But
they love that tush push,
right? And it's not helping Jalen Hurts' numbers because we know it's just the tush push. Like it's odd how that all works,
right? Jalen, I mean, it's an effective maneuver, and you know what? Good for them.
Yeah, more power to them,
right? Like they really should, though. They really should add more wrinkles to it because,
the way that I see Saquon lines up on the side. I think AJ Brown lines up on the side. It's like if you let somebody else take it. Yeah, it's not a horrible thing,
right? Or just, try to do like an end, not an end around, but like a sweep, or like something like that. That with it, they've done it before, so they can do it again and have more success.
I forget who it was. I did like how number 4 on the Commanders he jumped over them, tried to stop Jalen Hurts on Thursday night. So, anything else you want to talk about? I feel like I just want to say a little bit more out of the Commanders. The Eagles are playing good. I think they'll both be in the playoffs.
Right, we'll have to see. I think probably both of them have. If they play like the other people in their division besides themselves, they have some easy matchups in them.
Yeah, they've got some matchups that they can win. So that it?
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Alrighty then. Thank you for listening and joining us today. I had a lot of fun. Some good spirited debate. We need to have some more of that. Really enjoying just talking about the topics about some of the teams more than talking about each game. And that's pretty much it for now. So thank you for joining us. Please like, share, subscribe, give us feedback, and we'll see you here next time. Bye.